Welcome to this episode of the Stocki Exchange. Today I talk with two local restaurateurs about what they're doing with marketing dollars, how they're making social media investments, and what they're doing to make sure you go back to their restaurant again. Right here on this episode of the Stocki Exchange. Welcome everybody to this episode of the Stocki Exchange. Today I'm here with Simon and Tony from Harvest and Roaming Harvest and from Georgina's, two fantastic restaurants here in Traverse City, Michigan. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having us.
So today we're going to talk about both of these being restaurateurs and owners of restaurants. We're going to talk about local marketing, what it takes to be successful in a wildly competitive F&B market here in northern Michigan. And kind of some of their challenges. What are we working on? What are the latest and greatest, and how are they kind of taking advantage of marketing tips and trends that they can use to make their own restaurant successful? So both chef owners, which is always an interesting mix of not sleeping and working all day and making sure everything runs perfectly to a T. So on that topic, so in such a competitive industry like many others around the country, as well as Traverse City, what are you guys really doing that's helping yourself, setting yourself apart, and how we're using marketing to kind of help support, those activities that you're doing to help set yourself apart?
Go first, because you have the food truck.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, obviously with the food truck, that sets us apart. Not now, but at first it certainly did, being the first food truck on the street. And we utilized, of course, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram to fuel that. But now with the restaurant, it's just kind of, we kind of have a thing that, we look around at what's happening in other restaurants, and then we do something else. I think in the market, it's really important, both of us have menus that are different, than what everybody else. And there's niches. You find those little niches, focus on those little things.
Don't open another Starbucks across the street from the Starbucks.
Well, and I love all of them, right? Yeah. But I think there's a lot of room and a lot of cuisines and different things that just haven't been tapped into yet. So trying to stay ahead of that curve.
Perfect.
That's what I love about his place. When he first had his food truck and he went from farm table to a food truck to letting us experience the Traverse City experience. I love that. Where he talks like that and he looks at it like that, I look at it in the aspect of like, I'm gonna do what my family did. So I look at it like that. It's the same essence, where people are like, is this Latin food? Yeah, but I'm Chinese, Cuban, and Nicaraguan. So I look at it like that, which is the same thing he's saying, but just mine is even narrower down to me, and everything he says is the truth. And you can go to all the Facebook and all those other things, but when it comes down to me, I always tell people this. People are like, what are you gonna do, Tony? What are you gonna do? I said, I worry about the person who gave me a chance. And when that person is in front of me, I do the best I possibly can. I thank them as they leave, and people tell me they're going to do this, Yelp that, Twitter that. I'm blessed. I don't ask for it, but I must only worry about who's in my building. And from then on, everything else is like an extra, and that's the way my mother taught me. Just do what you love, worry about the people here.
Mm-hmm. And I think that really serves to your purpose. I mean, right now, Harvest is ranked #1 on TripAdvisor in Traverse City, and Georgina's is #4, and it's not something you guys have. You've just created a kick product, and people say,
and people respond to it.
Hey, you should go try this because it's awesome.
Yeah.
So I
think sitting here and talking about marketing is one thing, but at the end of the day, word of mouth is it. And I think even more so now than it has been in the past, because I think the newer generation, the millennials, definitely. But even my generation, Generation X, I think we're yearning for something more authentic in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And when we find that authenticity, that's when we talk about it.
We want to share it with people. I mean,
we can share it with it. And it could be social media, and that's great.
Mm-hmm. But it reaches more people
But
quicker.
also just walking down the street going, hey, have you been, I love it. Gary's got rotating food trucks this year, right? He has a spot where there's a different one every couple of weeks. It's great. Somebody else, Happy's Tacos is down there right now. The guys are just, they're gung-ho, they're ready to go, they've got new food there. I mean, that's great. And when you find that, you tell some people about it, they show up, and I just bounce around.
I think people nowadays, as much as the media comes into play as far as social media, they want to put their experience out there. They want to put, you know, what I did today, and that's awesome for us because it gives us a chance, as people give us a chance, for them to tell us about us. And people say, like, how do you work? We work, now it's even easier for us, I see it. We work harder at our guests. And they tell people the experience that they had with us.
So
And
you guys just have more time to really hone your craft. of
that's the
what
way
you
I
love
look
to
at me,
do.
and that's the way I look at what he does. You know, and then there's other people that do it too. And that's the way, because the truth of it is we have to survive through winter here. And we're blessed to be able to do it. You know, so when people come and eat at our place, that is our work. That is our social media. That is our Twitter. That is our Facebook. Because that person will go and tell everybody about, hey, listen, I saved my money. I went out. They're not going to say it like that, but that's in essence what they're telling you. You know, and I had this wonderful experience. And he's doing this season, and his food is this season. And that's, you know, and then we get to know our guests because they remember what we did.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, looking at social media backwards and not worrying so much about what we're putting out. And we use it. I mean, Instagram, taking pictures, you know, people are liking it, they're sharing it, and that's great. But also when they're tagging you and being able to see what are they keying into? You know, what is the thing that really is setting them off? What's the trend there? Can be really helpful. But I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that authenticity, again, it goes back to what I do and what I think Tony does as well, is I focus, and we have a hard, fast rule. We focus on what we're doing. It doesn't matter who's doing what anybody else is doing. We need to look at what we're producing and make it as good as we can possibly do in the moment. And if people keep coming back, that's how we know it's working. Which is not a great answer for a marketing show.
Not really.
I mean, it is and it isn't, right?
It works. I mean, we can't argue with success.
Right.
So, I mean,
Well, I think
we could tell
sometimes-
you, here's 20,000 things you guys could do. I mean, my next question is, what would be your biggest marketing challenge?
It's to get every aspect of social media as one. And that's where, as we sit here and we're talking about it, you're the person that would make it all one. So you understand? So it interacts. You know, so we're looking at it backwards, like you say, and looking at people and what we want and this and that, and people are doing all their social media, but you're the person that says, you know what, we're going to make sure I put this person with these other people that are not friends, and we're going to combine, and we're going to do this with your social media where everyone can see it, and the responses and this, and that's where it is. So it is the answer, even though it's hard to see it, because we're seeing it from the perspective of one person at a time, and you're coming from us like, I'm going to put all those people together to share their experience and let other people see how many people had their experience. So it is. The answer is no different than you came to us and you're like, you guys, hey, there's other people that have great products too, and so do you guys. Let's go and do it. And we're here. So this is an aspect of it, you know. It just takes, I always tell my staff this, please don't do everything at once. Do one thing at a time, and things will get done. Because if you try to do everything at once, we'll all fail, because nothing will get done. You know, and that's the reality of it.
Well, I think from the challenge aspect of it, I mean, if the question is what is the biggest challenge, for me it's leading into one of what probably is going to be another question, which is where is that return on investment, right? And that's the hardest thing for me. I mean, I don't spend very much money on marketing. We do a couple ads in, you know, a couple local publications, but when I spend money, you know, we sponsor the green room for the film fest, because if I do that, all of those people that are involved with the film fest then know about us, but in a more organic way. Yeah. But how do I quantify? You know, if I spend X amount of dollars, if I spend $1,000 on an ad for a quarter, how do I quantify that? You know, I mean, I can look at my numbers and they might be going up and down, but it could also be because we're not any longer doing an item that we were doing. You know, I mean, it's those trends. And so on a macro level, I think when you get to a certain size, you can track those numbers easier. But on a small scale like I am, you know, it's hard to figure out where is that $500 going. And quite frankly, would have been better to buy a new set of stainless steel skillets for the guys so that they can do their job more effectively, right? So That's the challenge for
the
me. Is
double-edged
just
sword of
where's that money
marketing.
going? Like, is it coming back in the way that it should be?
And when
Am I getting it twice?
Does it come back in 2 months? Does it come back in 6 months? Does it come
Exactly.
back in a year? So sometimes you make the investments and it doesn't pay off for a year, but sometimes you run a promotion and you can count exactly how many people
Right.
came in.
The key to everything he said, and I smiled because that's the same problem I had, but it goes to the aspect of how big or how small you are. We're both small. What does that mean? We started our places in little small places. We've grown ourselves organically, you understand, through our product, where we're not a corporation or we're not someone who's funded with huge financial means to say we're opening the biggest place, we're going to do this and that. I tell everybody, I say, when I advertise because it's my city. So I promote small people who have small advertising venues, the film festival. I do all those things. Do I track it? Do I know what I'm getting back? No, but it's my city and they live here and they work with us, and that's the way I gauge it. You
Right,
know?
and the benefit, the added benefit,
Yeah.
you know, when we do the harvest dinner in the fall, there's 600 people that we're going to feed on that night, right? And so obviously some of them haven't been introduced to our brand before, so they're going to see us and go, oh, we got to go check that place out. But also, I have the added benefit of is none of them show up. It's a fundraiser for Michigan Land Use Institute. So I'm giving back in a way.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
the
added benefit might be the marketing, right? I mean, it could be full
Yeah,
circle.
so
that way.
sponsorships, event sponsorships,
Yeah.
instead of just,
But that's like a byproduct of how
Right.
we believe.
I mean, one way or another,
Yeah.
I'm going to give that
To the
experience
land,
or
yeah.
that money there anyway. Sponsor the green room.
exactly. So what role does personal branding play in your successes currently and in your future development? Like how important do you think?
I think as I see both of us, and every time I see him and I talk to him and I ask him how he's doing, it goes back to what he is and what I am. And that's why I always ask him, I said, how's it going? You're doing good? Here, I saw you over there. And he's saying it's the same thing to me in our struggles. But I don't consider him competition or anybody else, and I hope no one does the same, because we are who we are, giving our experience back to people. And that's the way how I view my brand. My brand is my experience, and even though we're selling food, his experience is totally different than mine, and I enjoy it just as much. But that's what you have to see. That is his brand, and that's the beauty of it, where you're like, okay, we are not McDonald's, and we're not represented by a big M arch. You understand? Hey, what are you doing this coming season? Oh, I'm getting this off the farms over here. This we're going to do. It's great. You know, I love that.
Yeah, but I think though that in the minutia of branding, you know, that brand identity. I mean, there's a reason that this doesn't say Georgina's,
Yeah.
right? And there's a reason that this doesn't have the full logo. I mean, they're little bits that we've taken out individually, and they're identifiable.
Yeah.
You know, when we make a T-shirt and it just has this highlighted, there are people, you know, yourselves included, that if you saw it, you would immediately know where that piece of wheat came from. So I think that brand identity is really important. Again, on the micro level or on the smaller level like we are right now, I think it's important to really protect it and to make sure that it's pure, and whatever's being done behind that is very important, because that's the authentic experience that's going to lead to the value of the brand later.
So you don't
And
want-
so if you grow more, right? If we grow more, I mean, obviously the Nike swoosh would be a huge example of it, right? But I would hope that regionally this would become identifiable. You know, so that when people come to Traverse, they're like, wow, I know that. Where do I know? Oh yeah, it's that food truck.
Yeah.
They've got a restaurant, you know, and same thing. So I think, but it doesn't come, I don't know how much time either one of us actually dedicate to that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I spent some time, you know, sitting around with a couple guys to make sure that it looks right.
Yeah.
But
So the
but
next-
beyond that, I can't remember the last time I ordered any uniforms, because I don't have time. You know, I mean, we're
So on that next vein, it's keeping that authenticity and building the brand to make sure that when you are growing, it doesn't go away from that homey feel. What's the next step in each of your growth?
I think no different than his truck went to his place, and now they're both, even though they're different, it's the aspect of who he is, and that's what people expect out of his food, the great freshness, the great everything new, no different than with me, you know. And for me, the next thing is to grow as far as like providing people another experience. But maybe I'm blessed that I want to grow elsewhere.
So where's the next Georgina's going to be?
Well, at this point in time now, you do have to start looking at business models. And for me in particular, that I don't have financial backers, it's like, okay, what's the best business model out there? For me, it's B-dubs. Why? Because they pick college towns where money is accessible to kids because their family provides, and they put them everywhere. So for me, a college town that has a university full of kids, that has a city already built within, where people have expendable cash, that's the way I look at my brand, you know, at the price points where I'm at. So I do have to look at other people. You know, I can't go into suburbs where people may not recognize me, where if I go into Ann Arbor and people travel from here to Ann Arbor or Grand Rapids and they know me already, that's one leg up already that I have. You know, so that's the way I look at it if I want to grow my business.
And Simon, you want a new food truck, another restaurant?
Yeah, right. You know, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've been very, very conservative in the way that we've grown. You know, the truck I funded by myself, the restaurant I funded mostly by myself from the truck, and so we've been very, very conservative in that way. So whatever it is, it'll probably still be fairly small. I think that one of the reasons that our brand is as good as it is because I have that touch, and I think that at some point I'm gonna have to reconcile that.
Well, that's a big criticism of a lot of chef owners.
To answer your question, probably the next moment of growth will be when I find the right person to entrust with the brand. Like when I can find that person that I can say, you know what, you get it, you get me, you get what we're doing. You can have a bunch of creativity, but you're going to carry on this this mindful way of going about it. That'll probably be when we start to grow again. And I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, this business, a food truck and a restaurant is a lot of work. And if I can get to the point where, you know, my dogs are fed and my wife and I are happy and we can go on a vacation, that's good. And I can employ some people gainfully. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, please understand what he's saying is just the aspect, he's right. Because for as much as my dream is to open up in Ann Arbor, I can't go anywhere unless someone can do what I do, not as far as like cooking, but care for it. You know, and that's the key, to care for it.
And that's what people are finding now. You don't hire for skills, you hire for passion. You train skills.
And that's the hardest.
That's the hardest.
That's the hardest
thing
challenge.
Is finding the right people at the right time to do the right job. And that's, I think for all of you watching out there, I'm sure many of you have been involved in restaurants and hospitality. That's what I work as, hotels, restaurants, bars, and almost every owner I talk to is the hardest thing is to find that people who live that same passion that you do.
Well, it's a lifestyle. You know, the thing about what we do, and the reason I think that, you know, we're thought of as being up in the top edges of what's going on here, or on the leading edge of what's going on here, is because it's a lifestyle. I mean, I wake up every day and I go to work because I want to go to work. I mean, I love my restaurant. I love walking in. You know, I love going to the truck and checking it out and making sure that everything's, I mean, it's just what I do. And I might do it for 8 hours a day if I'm really lucky, and I might do it for 18 hours a day. And either way, the time just goes by and it's still cool, right? And so when I find, and I'm lucky enough to have a few of them, some really good, solid people that understand that it's a lifestyle. This is what we do, and it's hard and it's hot, and we're on our feet all the time, and we work really hard, but we're really excited about what we're doing. That's when you got to start culturing it, you know, and kind of just finessing it into what you really want it to be to grow.
Perfect. So if I gave each of you 10 grand today, right now, that you could only spend on marketing, what would you spend it on?
Social media. When I mean the social media, it would be the aspect of anything possible to get exposure on a personal level. Not print, not anything like that. On a personal level, which would be like, in essence, this is personal level. Somehow, some way to form something to show my interaction, but with my food. So instead of you two guys would be here, it would be me with my food. And it may not get me anywhere, it might get me somewhere, but I know for a fact that the only way people will understand my food is not through the video, but through how they see me touch it and care for it and talk about it and explain it to someone. That's the only way. That's how I believe it.
Cool. Well, for all of you watching at home, we're going to put up a link here. You can check out Tony's just got a new video shot at the restaurant, and I think that kind of really encompasses a lot of what you're talking about with the passion you have behind the food and how you create it. So we'll link that up and put it in the show notes. And then I think everyone will start to grasp a little bit of what he's talking about. Simon?
Yeah, I think the most effective vehicle that I've seen recently are the targeted in-room videos. The local video, everybody's used to going to a new town, they check into their hotel, they turn on the TV, and it's not NBC. What it is it's an in-room station that's typically broadcasting what are you going to do tonight. And I think that isolated, targeted marketing is really good. I think that what I've seen is it's really good when it's coupled with a story as opposed to an advertisement. You know, hey, this guy started a food truck. You know, this is a little bit about Little Fleet and where they're at, and this is, you know, if it's raining outside, you can also experience the Harvest brand at this location, you know, and tell more of a story. Because again, I could pay somebody to come up with a jingle, but I'm just not so sure that that's going to be as effective as actually giving them a little background and a little story.
For sure. I mean, we just, a show we just had on was Grand Traverse Resort. We were talking about their Get Up and Go campaign, and that was all about telling a story and painting a picture of what a day in the life is of staying up here in northern Michigan. They could have took a picture of like, here's our room, here's the restaurant, here's a nice lady at the front desk who's going to help you with your, you know, the standard hospitality advertising with the doodle-doo little jingle at the end. This is, they just walk through the day of what it's like to go golfing and go outside and go to the beach and be with your family and the struggle of getting everyone up in the morning and having 3 kids get in the car. Like, these are real life things that people deal with every day, and it doesn't look like a shiny advertisement to buy hair shampoo. Like,
well, and again, I think that the people that market the best, and again, I spend time thinking about it. I don't spend a lot of time, and I don't spend a lot of money on it. But I like to think that I'm always looking for something different, because I get calls and emails every day about this magazine or this magazine. I mean, some of them aren't even in the state. You know, or this brochure or keychains or all this different stuff. And at the end of the day, I think that the time has already kind of passed. You know, if I'm being bombarded 3 or 4 times a week by the same people, it's already passed. You know, and so what I'm looking for are, you know, how can we come up with a new T-shirt campaign, a guerrilla T-shirt campaign for 3-year-olds to wear in the parade
that no one saw
that
before.
nobody's seen before.
And
you know, because that type of thing it's clever. You know, and it's real. It's me going, I want to give away 100 T-shirts, but I want to give them away to the elementary school band. You know, I'm going to sponsor the band this year. I'm going to write them a check, and then what they can do for me is wear these T-shirts in the parade for an hour. You know, and that would be a more authentic thing where, again, the millennials, the Gen Xers, our age group looks at it and goes, hey, I like that. You know, whereas when you look in the glossy same magazine, you go, yep, there's a menu, you get to the third one and you go, I'm spent. And you know what most people are doing right now is they get on their phone and they go, what's close? What's this? What's that? They pick a cuisine and they go, this is what I want, and they get an Uber, and next thing you know, they're there. I mean, so that old marketing way, it's already passed. So I'm always trying to figure out what is that little niche thing that could be effective.
So there's a couple of things out there, which we talked about in other episodes as well, as things like Periscope and Meerkat, which are live streaming video services. So you just pull up your phone and
what's going on there?
A live exact view. A lot of restaurants do it. They just put up like a cell phone and a Meerkat, like at the prep station, and just leave it on.
Right.
And just people can actually see exactly what's happening at their favorite restaurant and what it takes to create the food. Wow. So what are you guys doing in terms of, we just talked about, like, obviously print's dead. What are you guys doing to focus on a mobile first technology with your marketing? Because everyone walking down the street, like you said, they just walk down, Yelp, what's the closest restaurant to me?
Right.
If they got a good review, okay, off we go. Like, that's how people are working at. So what do you guys think you want to do as part of the next step of, you know, you're living your dream, you're loving it. that reaches a certain amount of people, and your word of mouth stuff is reaching a certain amount of people. There's also a lot of people who you aren't
don't
able
know.
to reach with that. So how do you also gather them in? If I'm walking down the main drag here, why don't I go to your restaurant instead of his restaurant if I don't know anything?
I love this, what's going on right here, because how I view things, I view them in the simplest way, and I'm from a third world country. And then when he talks, I love how he views things, because it's in essence what I'm viewing, but he says it more eloquent. At the end of the day, to me, yeah, I want to reach Yelp. I want to reach Facebook. I want to reach those things, because it's what you said. Right now, where am I at? Right now? It is the truth. But right now, I must worry about this plate of food, so that person may bless me and may write a great Yelp review. My friend is a chef, and he would walk out to the tables, and he would ask people to get on Yelp, and he would do this and do that. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because that's not me. That is not me. You know, and he did other stuff. And they gave away food, and I said, I will never do that. Never, ever, ever do that. And it goes back to what I love. I'm going to walk up to the table, no different than I saw him like a week ago, unloading his car at 8 in the morning to get to the food truck. And I just honked the horn and I yelled, and he didn't even know it was me. I love what I do. And somehow, some way, through my food, that's going to translate to that plate. And it's going to translate to that person by talking to me or knowing him. And he talks the same as I do, okay, with the same passion. And they're going to say, look at those guys. I got your review.
Right.
You know?
Well, in the essence of it, I mean, maybe that's even, you know, to back up a little bit. I mean, when it comes to marketing, right, it's the perspective. You know, his perspective is, you know, my perspective is very limited. His perspective is maybe even a little more limited than that. But at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, right? And so marketing is really a very personal thing. Some people, you know, they're more compelled to do it, right? I think that we've spent time cultivating social media platforms, right? So they're all interlinked. If I snap an Instagram, it goes out here and there. Our website is integrated, so if I change the menu at the restaurant, it changes online. You know, things like that. I'm always looking for a way to make that easier. And actually, I'm gonna backtrack to the $10,000 question. I would hire a firm. I would hire somebody that I trust. Again, somebody that I trust to take over that social media platform for me. Because as much as I kind of like to do it once in a while, I don't really have the time, and I need to be focusing on other things, the day-to-day things. You know, so having somebody that is always, you know, that's what they do. They spend time surfing the net. What is the new thing, the meerkat or whatever, and they can dial it in, make sure that it's all working seamlessly. So if I do want to jump in and I'm like, oh, we're going to take a picture of making this big cinnamon roll, 8-foot-long cinnamon roll, and get it out online, we can do it. But then have some backup there where they're snapping pictures and they're letting everybody know about upcoming wine dinners and all these other things that we're always doing. But it's really hard to have time to actually sit down, which reminds me, I actually have to go get it done. But, you know, to kind of take that social media realm over and then always be looking for the next thing. You know, what is that next thing, whether it's, you know, Yelp and TripAdvisor, they're great for some respects, but there's a love-hate. I mean, you can ask any restaurateur, there's a love-hate relationship.
Of course.
Because as much as anybody walks into my restaurant and I will listen to anything they have to say, good, bad, indifferent, right? There's got to be a filter for that. And what Yelp and TripAdvisor don't do is they don't have a way to filter it, right? Not that if somebody just goes, oh, it was horrible, then I'm going to go, you know. But when I read those reviews, I can filter it. I can read people's reviews, not for my place, but if we were just recently in Detroit, I can read through them and go, that lady really knows what she's talking about, and I'm going to eat there, you know, because she's speaking the language. There's cues, there's simple cues.
And you can
there.
understand people who are just
You know.
like angry and just venting and then there's people like who actually understand the aspects of the restaurant, what's happening and why
what's happening, what they're into, you know, and you know whether or not it has loud music, I mean, that's subjective. You know,
Yeah, there's a lot of subjective.
Objective is
for
different,
sure.
right?
Well, I think one of the big things is you guys realize you can't please everyone.
Well, no, absolutely
and the
not.
first time that when you start to realize that and just let the people who complain, just let them go.
Well, I think
the
that's
weight
why
will just lift right off your shoulders.
I think that's why we've both been as successful as. I mean, we don't. The first rule for anything that goes on our menu is it's what we want to eat. It's what we want to eat.
Pick what you want, and just be the best at it.
That's just the bottom line. I want to eat this. I want to explore it. I want to learn how to cook it.
No
I want
one
to,
understands that.
No
one understands.
You cook for yourself first.
Yeah.
If you cook for yourself first, and it's good, and you're good at it, then people are going to love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's true. People always come and tell me about I was like, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I know what I'm cooking. I know if I oversalted it, and like I said, we've done some mistakes sometimes and we correct them right away in our restaurants. But I don't need to put myself up to see if I'm great or put myself down to see if someone thinks I don't care for any. I do what I love, and that's
the best way to gauge it is, are people coming in and are they coming back?
Repeat customers.
How many times do we see them a week? And by that matrix, I think we're doing pretty well. And it's a matter of they've given us that respect, and now it's time to take care of that and make sure that we're always providing that same type of experience and not dropping the ball. And that goes back to the growing thing. I mean, how do you grow in a way that doesn't sacrifice or jeopardize
what people love,
the experience and the brand and the quality of the food? I mean,
and that's one thing why I love working in hospitality is we're selling experiences. You're not selling a tangible. Like I couldn't never work for companies who are just like, oh, we sell plastic bottles. Let's sell this plastic bottle better. Like, no, I want. The whole point is you can sell, you can create an experience, talk to people about what they can feel, how they're going to experience. Everyone does it different, but you guys get to take it personal, make it your own, and just share it with everyone. And whoever wants to have it is going to be like, oh, that's great, or they're going to be like, no, I don't want to eat there. And then you guys are like, that's cool, man. Like, what do you have other restaurants to go
and
eat?
a lot of times, I mean, you never know. I mean, it's somebody's anniversary, it's their birthday, it's somebody just graduated, or somebody just got a new car and they're going out to celebrate, or maybe somebody just got out of surgery and it's been a rough day, and you're nurturing those people. But one way or another, one reason or another, they trust us enough to walk in. Yeah. It's the least we can do to respect that and trust them to give them the experience that we believe is really good. And so growing and marketing, I mean, you can get lost in all of that. And I might be able to one of the things, when we started, we didn't do any marketing. And we're in the alley. I mean, we're hidden for all intents and purposes. You don't think so, but that 100 yards off of Union Street is a mile.
Makes a big difference.
Right? And so for the first 3 or 4 months, I mean, it was just kind of this very slow climb. But what that allowed us to do is get used to the kitchen, make sure, hey, where are the pans going to live? Whereas if we would have done a huge media blitz and opened up and just got hammered right off the bat, that could have been, I don't know if
could have been a disaster,
but it could have been a disaster. And so I think that being patient and conservative in that way sometimes can be the best way to market yourself.
Yeah, I think consistency will trump any kind of marketing gimmicks that you can try to do any
day of the week.
Don't miss a single episode of the Stocki Exchange Show. Visit the Stocki Exchange Facebook page, like our page, hover over the like button and click Get Notifications and see first to never miss out on a show or post. So we're going to move into this part of the show now called the one-word answers, where I'm going to ask you guys a question, and you have to respond with one word. So both of you being
That's gonna be tough.
Restaurateurs and chefs, hopefully purveyors of wine, is if I gave you each a case of 1961 Grand Margaux, what would you do with it? Sell, share, save it, or drink it?
I would share. I can keep going, but I would share with my family and friends. I would share. Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah.
Let's do a little bit of each.
No, he's
Perfect.
right.
Yeah. I'd drink one at least.
Yeah, you see?
I mean,
So you got to try it out.
Yeah.
A few $1,000 a bottle. You may want to see
No,
what it tastes like.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's the Stocki Exchange. It's the time you guys get to ask me some questions. Hopefully I can provide some guidance or random.
As you see our businesses, and as much as our businesses are different, they're the same. Where would you say we are lacking in the aspect of, if you did these things, this would be the growth of your business would spike, and you could see it. The key to everything he said about marketing is no different than I tell people. Can you show it to me? Can you show it to me? And outside of the room thing, the room video, they can show it to you. They run your video, and you can see. Outside of that, tell me one other aspect of advertising where you can clearly see the spike.
Well, I mean, you can design digital campaigns, which you can track analytics, and you set up a campaign.
Is that what you would do for our business?
I mean, if you are so tied on that you want to see instant, tangible results, digital technology allows you to do that. You have analytics. You can see we drove with this advertisement 500 people to your website. Now, if those people came into the restaurant, don't know. So, in terms of selling experiences and the place that both of your businesses are in now, you're not struggling for one person to come in for every single day of lunch. You're not like having 10 staff on going, oh shit, I hope I can pay these guys today. You have successful businesses that people are going, but now we're looking at growth and expansion. And something that does go along with that is making investments and seeing the return later in terms of sponsoring the local band. Are those kids coming in that afternoon to buy lunch? Probably not. But hundreds of people at the fair saw your shirt and they know who it is. So it's starting to do the brand building things of letting people know your story and letting people know who you are. The idea that you talked about earlier with, if I give you 10 grand, I would take 10 grand and I would create a video blog series of short clips of that video that you created, which you're all going to watch right now. I would create short clips of that and distribute them to the local market to tell people your story. I've never had a person go to your restaurant and say they had a bad experience or bad food. Your goal is to get people in the restaurant. Once they're in there, you've got clients. And the same thing with you. You have a lot of repeat clients. You have a lot of people who, once they come there, they know it, they love it. They understand the concept. They know that your food is quality, it's consistent. You have those things going for you. So I don't need to sell people on, oh, you should come and try the crazy Georgina's ethnic food. Like, that's not where we're at. We're selling an experience of Tony and the passion for his food, and Simon and the passion for his food, and what you want to consistently get up for every single day and work 20 hours a day to tell people. Now, not everyone accepts that information differently. So is it going to be, I spend 10 grand and you make 12 grand in revenue? That's not where you guys would be at right now.
I like that answer because I can understand your answer. Everyone else just tells me my magazine is distributed.
Yeah, of course.
And
they just got their elevator pitch, their 20. Now, do I think, and I think it's got to be a holistic point of view. It's not just, I spend 10 grand on one ad and I'm going to get no, it's not how it's, you have to sit down and do marketing planning, marketing strategy. You have to sit down at the beginning of the year, okay, we're going to make, these are projections, this is how we're going to get to that. And marketing helps support the growth of what you guys are doing. It's not your leading edge is your advertising, your food, your quality, the service, the support, the consistency that you guys offer. That's the product that we're selling. We're just telling as many people about that as we can. And if they want to try it, once they're in the door, that's 75% of your marketing is when they're in the door. Was the front door, the handle clean? Was the rug when I stepped in clean? Was the lady smiling? Did she have a nice uniform on when I talked to her? When they sat me, did they offer me a drink? Was the bathroom clean? Those experiences, that's what we sell. And that's a really hard thing for business owners to say. They're like, oh, people aren't coming in, so let's just offer a discount and then they'll come in more. Well, take a step back. Look at what you're offering and maybe realize that's not what people want. It's not consistent. It's not quality. It's not good. You're not pitching to the right market. You're opening a restaurant in the suburbs when you should be opening your concept in a heavily populated area. Those types of things. So going back, auditing what are you offering and realizing it's not only your food and it's not what you're advertising. It's what is that experience I get when I come into your thing. And I worked for luxury hotels where people stay for 10 days. Like, we have to audit that whole experience. What is it like to stay in a hotel for 10 days? What is it like to go to your restaurant 3 times a week? Those are the things that I would really take a look back, audit, and then learn, should I be investing money to make that experience better? The rest of it would be telling people about how awesome your experience is, but being able to deliver that experience.
Right.
Don't offer the world and give them a crappy experience, because that's the fastest way to lose a lot of money.
Right. Well, that's the challenge, right? I mean, at this point in the game, you know, the trajectory is steep. And as long as the trajectory is steep and that curve is continually going up, you know, when it starts to plateau, like, so when I look at the matrix, you know, and it's going like this, you know, when it starts to do this and we start to get to a plateau, you know, that's when we'll, you know, and that's what we did with the truck. You know, we hit a plateau and we had to do something. You know, let's go one way or the other, you know, and everything just kind of lined up just so. But I'm still waiting, you know, we still have the honeymoon phase, as I like to call it.
Which is lovely to
we're
have.
still within that first year or so. And so once that stops being so steep, that's when we need to start, you know, kind of looking at it. And the other aspect of that is with a 30-seat restaurant, you know, that plateau might be the plateau. I mean, we can only feed so many people
And you can only charge so much.
per hour. You know, I mean, there's only so many people that can actually go through the building in a day. And, you know, then you're looking at the 3 to 5 time zone and saying, oh, well, how can we see what we do there? And one of the things, you know, obviously we're looking at is, you know, we don't have a liquor license. And so is that worth the return? Is it worth all of what comes along with one of those? And so far the answer has been no. But, you know, I'm just kind of looking at it that way. And that might be a way to add, again, an authentic experience, you know, but.
Yeah. One of the things that one of my purveyors said to me, he's like, oh, this summer, it hasn't gone as great as last summer. The numbers are about even. and I looked at him, I said, no, this summer is as great as last summer. It just so happens you can't feed any more people when you're packed all the time. Right. All the restaurants are at their capacity. I said, how can you complain about the summers that we're having? You know, now we have the Blue Angels, the Thunderbirds coming back to back. You can't complain. The city's packed. For anyone, I've lived here 12 years. No one should be complaining.
I think if you're complaining in the summertime, you're doing something
trouble.
wrong.
You're in big trouble.
Yeah, no one should be complaining. People give us a chance. Come to our city, you know, give us all a chance to live here after they go back home. No way.
Well, and the supply and the demand. I mean, that was one of the arguments for the food trucks, right? Is, you know, supply in the middle of summer is outpaced. You know, when there's an hour-and-a-half wait at every single restaurant in town, obviously there's room to have more restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way it is. And then we found that the second year of having food trucks down at Little Fleet, when people are waiting a half an hour just to get onto the parking lot to wait in line, you know. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's the shoulder season. You know, it's the Marches and the Aprils and the Novembers. You know, I mean, January and February are what they are. I mean, that's everybody kind of shut down a little bit, and it's still busy. I mean, the middle of winter, this is becoming a 4-season destination.
For sure.
You know, you have the Comedy Fest in the middle of the winter. I mean, there are things happening here that attract people, just not to mention the fact that it's a nice place to be, right? So
we live here for a reason.
Yeah,
not to mention all the people who are just coming.
But
here
yeah,
for
when you're
tourism.
packed, which is a great problem to have, you know. But yeah, where's the, you know, you can only feed so many people, and I think it goes back to what I said about growth. Maybe I won't grow. You know, I mean, if it works and all my employees are happy and I can provide good jobs, and I mean, I'm good.
Cool,
I like the water too.
I love it.
No, listen, by all means, like, I don't view like the growth as the aspect of financial means. I grew the growth as the aspect of this is something I dreamt about. I love what he said, because if that is, I tell everyone, if you're good and you're making a good living and you're providing for others, what's there, you know?
What else do you need?
Yeah. Cool. You know?
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
I think we're going to go and give a gift certificate. So right now, go to your computers, type it in, StockiExchange.com. You all have your cell phones. I'm sure you do. Type it in. Go to the blog post for this episode, and we're going to have a little competition down there, and you guys can enter to win a gift certificate to Georgina's. So please do that. And once again, thank you guys so much. I think we had
you for
some
having
really,
us.
really great talks. I hope all of you at home stop by, check these guys out if you haven't already. In the blog post, all their information to their social media accounts, their websites. That video Tony had just done for his restaurant really, I think, encompasses a lot of what he's trying to talk. Simon, thank you guys so much for coming. Follow up for the next episode of the Stocki Exchange on our blog, and tune in next week for another episode of the Stocki Exchange. Thanks for watching.